and welcome to my next video. Today is a bit of an odd one. It started off as a rag wreath, but then I'm changing it into something else, but I'll explain why later. I'm going to start you off with a rag wreath. They're very easy to make, a little bit time consuming, but very easy to make. What you need is a wreath ring. Now these are florist's wreath rings. You could use a wire coat hanger bent into the shape of a circle. You could even use some really strong cardboard. Whatever you've got to hand. You need some strips of material, and these are about between 7 and 8 inches long, because this is stretchy material, I've made it quite wide because when you stretch it, it does get a little bit thinner around the wreath ring. If you're using cotton or any other non-stretchy type of material, I think I would make it a little bit longer and a little bit narrower. Okay. These are just scraps of material I've had lying around. Now, obviously, at the moment, because we're all on lockdown, I haven't been able to get anything that's coloured both sides. And this is why I've decided to change the craft halfway through. Because a lot of the white is showing and you're not getting the finish that I really wanted to on a rag wreath. You can cut up old shirts, old t-shirts, anything like that. I did suggest cutting some of my daughter's clothes up, but she wouldn't go for that. I wonder why. But whatever you've got to hand. Now, if you're using a wreath ring, these bits here are quite sharp. You can see where there's the little bits of wire there. So what I'd do is I'd cover those over first so that you're not catching fingers on them. I've cut these out, and I don't know if you can make that out, but I've cut them out with pinking shears. Just because you get a slightly nicer finish. If you've not got pinking shears, don't worry, you can just use normal scissors. Okay, so I'm going to start off covering these bits over, like I say, because they're quite sharp. Because I've got stretchy material, I can stretch it and tie it into a double knot. Pull it quite tight so you've got a nice tight knot there. There we go. And do it so that the two ends that are sticking out align quite nicely. In some cases, turning it round helps. There we go, so that's one. And that's the next one. Just to speed this along a little bit, I'm not going to do the other two. I'm just going to show you how I do it in between these ones. So again, take your stretchy material, tie it into a double knot. And then push it right down. Now these need to be fairly tight. And you can see we've got different lengths of material here. Don't worry about that. We can trim those off later. And on to the next one. And push it down. And there we go. We can trim these ends off just so that they're all roughly the same length. There we go. And we carry on doing that all the way around. I've got one that I've done a little bit more on just to speed things a little bit. There we go. And you can see there, this one's almost finished, just that section today. You can see what I mean now about it being, the colours are fairly muted. If you turn it over, it's a lot more colourful. Not as colourful as I'd perhaps like for a rag wreath, but that's why I'm going to change it. But I'm just going to finish these bits off. Let's put some bits of material in. Push it down. This is a really long one. I'm going to have to trim lots of this one off. Nearly finished. I think we can just get two more in here. When you get to these end ones, it can be sometimes quite difficult getting in between them. So it might mean that somebody needs to, excuse me, hold one for you. Hold the other ones down while you're tying this one in the middle. There we go. I think we've got room just for one more. It does need to be quite tight, so you can't see any of the bits of wire in between them. There we go, that's that finished. Right, so let's trim some of these ends off. And on the inside. There we go, that's all pretty even, I think. Let's take a little bit off of these ones. There we are. Okay, let's just move those spares out of the way. So that's the finished rag wreath. If you've used some nice bright coloured material, that's going to look fantastic. But because it's quite muted and not as colourful as I'd like, as I started doing this one earlier, I was wondering what I could do with it to brighten it up a little bit. So I thought I'm going to make this into an autumn wreath. So what I've got my glue gun already heating up. Okay, now always remember, glue guns very hot. Be very, very careful when you're using them. If you're putting it onto a table, make sure you've got something underneath so the glue doesn't drip. I've got a silicone mat. This is specifically made to use with glue guns, but you can put any pieces of paper, cardboard, anything like that on it. So I'm just going to leave that there. And I've got some bits of greenery here that are left off of some artificial flowers. I save everything, really don't like throwing anything away. So those can just be glued on randomly like that. Just going to lay it out a little bit first. There we go. Right, let's glue those on, I think. There we are. Put a little blob of glue on the end. There we go. And push that. And push it down quite tightly so that it sits quite nicely on your wreath there. Okay. Right, I'm going to pop a little bit on each of these leaves. There we go. Don't worry if it's not too tidy, it's on the back of the leaf anyway. Push those down. There we go. On this one, I'm going to put the glue straight onto the roof there. There we go. Get lots of little tails when you're using a glue gun. Don't worry too much about those though. There we go. Push that one right in there. There we go. Make sure everything's pushed down really well. Doesn't look a great deal at the moment, but we need to put some other bits on. So I've got some really nice maple leaves. Okay. They do come in green as well, but I'm just going to use the red and yellow ones, I think. So let's put a bit of glue on the back of these and pop them in between. There we go. Let me turn this round so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Oops, dropped a bit of glue on there. Don't worry, because we can cover that up. Yeah, that's the beauty of doing things like this. You can cover any mistakes up. And I just need one more red one. let's take all of these tails off. There we go. So that's partly done. Okay, removing any of those little wisps of glue that there are. Okay, so what I've also got is I've got some acorns. Just pop a few of those in the middle there. We can glue on. And I've got some little willow discs. Okay, we can glue those on after. So let's cover our mistake up first. There we go. Stick that on there. I think sometimes with things like this you can go as mad as you want with decoration, because the fuller a wreath is, the better. We need it to look really nice and full. Let's pop that in there. Because these flowers have been, these leaves, the green leaves, have been taken from artificial flowers that I used for another project. They've all got little holes in the middle where the stem went through, so these acorns are ideal for covering up all those little holes. Okay, just removing some more of the stringy bits. There we go. Just need to get another glue stick out. Pop that in. There we go. Right, let's pop a few more acorns on. Put a little bit more glue on there, I think. Just stick that out. The weight of the acorn will probably make that leaf hang down, so I'm just making sure it's stuck down really, really well. There we go. So one up here. Another one here. There we go. Yeah, let's make sure it's stuck down really well. Okay. I'll get a couple more acorns out, I think. Sometimes they look nice clustered together like this. There's glue underneath that one. I think it just depends where I'm putting it as to whether I put the glue on the wreath or on the acorn. Right, let's pop some of these little willow discs in. Okay, just pop a little bit of glue on the back, stick them on. Get some bigger ones, I think. There we go, maybe pop little ones on. Oh, another drop of glue on there. Let's stick that down. Stick a willow disc on there to cover it up. And there we go. Let's get all the stringy bits off. Probably keep finding them. There we go. And that's our finished autumn wreath. So I've rescued the very dull and drab, just lift this up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Rescued the very dull and drab wreath ring and made it into an autumn wreath. There we go, some more stringy bits this side. There we go. So thank you for watching, and I hope you can join me again for my next video.